Okay, you see the title. We're doing it a month early. I couldn't wait. A decent amount of homework went into this one. A thumbs up is greatly appreciated. Go ahead, drop your way too early score prediction for week one. Baltimore Ravens visiting the New York Jets, MetLife Stadium, 9-11. A quick couple notes for the game plan. I think the Jets should implement on offense and on defense, along with 6 Jets who are going to be X factors in determining the outcome of this game. Let's get it going right now.
Hold up.
Step one shouldn't be a surprise. If the Jets are going to come away with the upset week one, they're going to have to figure out a plan to prevent Lamar Jackson from completely taking over and winning this one with his legs. After tormenting defensive coordinators for the better part of 2 years, in 2021, teams started to figure out a strategy for keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket. It sounds counterintuitive, but to keep Lamar from scrambling, you blitz him. Shout out to Brett Coleman for the advanced numbers on this one. In 2020, Lamar was blitzed 25% of the time, dead last in the NFL among qualifying quarterbacks. In 2021, that number jumped all the way up to 36%, making Lamar the 5th most pressured quarterback in the league last year. The numbers get even more shocking from there. When Lamar Jackson is not blitzed, he scrambles 1 out of every 7 quarterback dropbacks. When defenses bring 5 or more, that scrambling number drops all the way to a staggering 1 in 50. This also impacted Lamar's efficiency as a passer. In his MVP campaign, Lamar was 36 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. In 2021, before he went down with an injury, he was 16 touchdowns to 13 picks. Let's take a look at the line of scrimmage to see what it looks like to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. Okay, let's take a peek at how the Cincinnati Bengals approached keeping Lamar Jackson contained. Right away, you're going to see 6 men at the line of scrimmage, 4 down linemen and 2 backers. On your left-hand side, you're going to see linebacker number 51, Marcus Bailey, coming in off the edge as a 5th rusher. I think this could be a good role for Jets linebacker Quincy Williams, using his speed and athleticism off the edge. What this is going to accomplish is give us one-on-one matchups across the offensive line. Each defender can be really aggressive. This is a run fit here. Contain, collapse, gap integrity is the name of the game. Teams would also then send surprise blitzers from the secondary, nickel corners, and safeties coming up to add a 6th rusher to rush Lamar Jackson, throwing off his timing and his mechanics. Then you'll see linebacker number 57. That's Jermaine Pratt on the Cincinnati Bengals. And this could be a good role for CJ Mosley. What you'll see here is he's going to drop into a zone coverage, which also functions as a quasi-spy. Teams would often collapse the pocket and leave the A-gap open and assign an extra defender to come up and make the tackle if Lamar were to try to run up the middle. And these one-on-one matchups are going to bring us to our first X factor of the game. Now that we've schemed one-on-one matchups across the defensive and offensive line respectively, we need to look for some areas where we have the advantage. And you might look to Carl Lawson. Jets fans are excited to get him back from the torn Achilles, potentially going up against former Jet Morgan Moses. We like that, but maybe not on the first game back from a serious injury. I'm actually looking towards the interior of the defensive line. X factor number 1 in this matchup for the Jets is defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. The former number 3 overall pick has an all-world ceiling and has been solid, but really hasn't popped yet and shown the dominance we know he has the potential to demonstrate. And hey, if he's going to go out there on a contract year and earn the bag, there's no better way to get it started than week 1 against rookie center Tyler Linderbaum. Linderbaum is a phenomenal prospect, but making his first start, Quinnen Williams should be able to take advantage of this matchup and be a disruptor in the passing and run game, respectively. Okay, now that we've won the line of scrimmage, we're not done yet. Our secondary is going to have some work to do because the Baltimore Ravens have another dynamic playmaking weapon on offense. That's up next. Step number 2 for the New York Jets in defeating the Baltimore Ravens has to be finding a way to slow down all-world tight end Mark Andrews. The 6'5" matchup nightmare posted over 1,300 receiving yards last year. Let's zoom out and take a look at our 4-2-5 base and come up with a game plan for containing Andrews. Shout out to Michael Nania, Jets X Factor, for tweeting this out. This is what the new look New York Jets 4-2-5 could look like against 11 personnel, which is the personnel grouping the Ravens run out there most of the time on third downs obvious passing situations. We know the defensive front are all in a run fit, and we're adding another blitzer via linebacker right here. We have CJ Mosley in this drop shallow zone / quasi quarterback spy. And new safety Jordan Whitehead, we probably want him near the line of scrimmage. Maybe he's that extra blitzer if we go cover 0, or he's got a green dog assignment on the running back. Now our corners. Hey, interestingly enough, the Denver Broncos used cornerback Patrick Surtain on Mark Andrews situationally, and it worked out. Denver lost that game, but Andrews was held under 70 yards and was kept out of the end zone. But the problem is, in 11 personnel, all of our top 3 corners are busy. We got Sauce and DJ Reed on the outside, and we want Michael Carter holding down the slot. If we're going to go man-to-man in essentially a cover 0 look, that only leaves LaMarcus Joyner. I like LaMarcus Joyner. He's a good roster spot. But man, that is a tough ask for a 5'8", 31-year-old coming off of an injury who most recently played nickel corner to go ahead and cover the 6'5" Andrews. So there's a substitution I would like to make situationally, and hear me out. I think the New York Jets have a player who's been relegated to essentially a reserve role who could be a decent fit in this matchup. That brings us to X factor number 2 in this game, and that's cornerback Bryce Hall. 6'1.5", long arms, 205 pounds, physical, built like a safety. I want to sub him in for Joyner and assign him to covering Mark Andrews on big third downs. Now, it's going to be a team effort as well. Bryce Hall is really good, but we still don't want to leave him out there on an island with Mark Andrews. So what do? Well, teams kind of figured out this as well. It is taking a village to take away Mark Andrews, especially in these hot routes. What they would do is they would chip him with a defensive end, or have a defensive end pop out into these flats before coming around on the blitz. Then we talked about CJ Mosley, how he's dropping into this quasi quarterback spy, but it's also functioning as being a disruptor on some of these shallow in-breaking routes here, these quick slants, these quick curls. So you're essentially assigning 3 different people to taking away Mark Andrews. If we can keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket and keep Andrews under 75 yards, we got a real shot to hang with this team. But hey, we got to score some points too. Coming up next, Zach Wilson, Mike LaFleur. How should the New York Jets offense attack the Baltimore Ravens defense? Step number 3 for the New York Jets to get their first win of the season on opening day is going to be establishing the style of this matchup early in the football game. For lack of a better way to say it, bringing some smash mouth to the Ravens in our building. There will be games for Zach Wilson to air it out 35 plus times using a myriad of dynamic playmaking weapons on the outside, but not this opponent and not week 1. The NFL is over 100 years old now, and there's one thing that has stood the test of time for a century. The more physically imposing team wins almost every time. I want to see heavy 12, 21 personnel. Nick Bawden, fullback, polishing chin straps in the hole. I want to see our offensive linemen getting to the 2nd and 3rd level on counters, power O, pin and pull. I want to see you stretch the field horizontally, turn their elite covering corners into tacklers, turn their edge rushers into essentially middle linebackers running sideline to sideline on jet sweeps and end arounds. And that brings us to X factor number 3 in this football game, offensive tackle Mekhi Becton. I don't know if there's any scarier sight for an NFL linebacker, corner, or safety than to see this 6'7", 365-pound, as his coach would say, bowling ball made of butcher knives coming at you full speed. I fully believe that if the New York Jets come out and punch the Baltimore Ravens directly on the chin, it's going to go a long way in determining the final score. But hey, look, this is the 21st century of football. We are going to have to throw it to score some points. Zach Wilson coming up next. When it comes to Zach Wilson in this New York Jets aerial attack going up against his Baltimore secondary, it's a tough task. Maybe the best coverage unit in the NFL. But Jets receivers Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, they're too talented to be shut down completely. They're going to make some plays. But step number 4 in this game plan is going to be finding areas in this Baltimore Ravens coverage unit where they're vulnerable. And X factor number 4 is going to be wide receiver Corey Davis. I think this is the perfect game to play wide receiver Corey Davis as a big slot receiver. Why? Because the Baltimore Ravens nickel slot corner is most likely going to be Ardarius Washington, who goes 5'8", 175 pounds. I like him matched up against the 6'3", 210-pound Corey Davis. Play some basketball. Short, yak-intended throws, third down, red zone, a security blanket for Zach Wilson. I'll take that matchup all day long. Now, within the same step of the game plan, we have another X factor. X factor number 5 is tight end Tyler Conklin. We like him taking advantage of a matchup against a linebacker, specifically Patrick Queen out of LSU. The second-year player is an impressive athlete, but really struggled in his rookie campaign in terms of coverage. Gave up 3 touchdowns and allowed 105 quarterback rating when targeted. Tyler Conklin has the wiggle, athleticism, route running, and yak ability to fully take advantage of this matchup. And oh yeah, he's reliable, posting a sticky 3% drop rate, elite hands at the tight end position. So now we got some points on the board, but Jets fans, if we're honest, I don't know if that's enough. We need one more step in this game plan. That's coming up next. The 5th and final step in this game plan for the New York Jets to get the W is going to be stealing some points. Look, we're going to be underdogs, probably about a touchdown at home. So maybe that's a big play on defense, a turnover, a defensive score. Maybe it's stealing chunks of yardage on a trick play dialed up by Mike LaFleur, or maybe a big play on special teams. I'm going to go with the latter, and that's why our final X factor is all-pro kick and punt returner Braxton Berrios. If Braxton can flip the field big time on a special teams play, or better yet, put up 6 points on a long return, that can absolutely be the determining factor in this football game. Hey, I asked you your score prediction at the top. Color me optimistic, but here's mine. New York Jets 24, Baltimore Ravens 20. I'm going to be there. Subscribe if you're new. Can't wait.